Leighton Bray strikes again. Wow. Well, that fight was disappointing. UFC 322 was such a great event. It was so fire. So many finishes on the main card. The main card was looking generational. It was living up to expectations. And then the co-main event and the main event arrived. And everything went downhill. First, we had the Shevchenko-Weili fight. It was a complete shutout, but boring. Outclassed Weili everywhere, but there was a lack of intensity to actually finish the fight. And then we go to the main event. JDM against Islam Makhachev. Well, if there were any doubts on Islam being too small, or if he would actually look like a welterweight, or if there will be any physical disadvantage, well, those doubts are all gone. Because, he looked like a real welterweight out there. And I thought this fight was going to be generational. I was hoping for a generational fight. Fight of the year contender. But instead, we got an absolute bore fest, lay and pray. And I swear I fell asleep halfway through the fight because that was so boring. So boring. The whole fight was basically spent in half guard and Jack trying to get up using the octopus guard and Islam just stopping him from using the octopus guard to get up. Nothing else really happened. There was nothing that happened in the striking. On the ground, Islam got the back like once. As soon as he got the back, Jack would then escape. And then they're back in half guard. And it's just half guard the whole fight basically. Some ground and pound here and there, but no real effort from Islam to really finish the fight. You know, you could tell Jack was very prepared for that Darce choke. He was avoiding that at all costs. At no point was he trying to grab an underhook and wrestle up because he knew Islam was going for that. And Islam was also going for that the whole fight, honestly. He was just looking for that Darce choke the whole fight. Never got it. Came, I guess, somewhat close later on in the fight. I think it was the fourth or fifth round. Trying to think, maybe it was the fifth round. Islam went for it, but Jack quite easily defended. After the first round, you must have known, okay, this guy, he's well prepared for the Darce choke. It's not going to work. Let me do something else. He just didn't. He was satisfied to hold that position and to lay and pray. Just stay on top and win by control time. Boring assault to death. The stalling problem continues. And to his credit, he was doing just enough to avoid the stalling because Jack also wasn't just sitting there. Jack was trying to go to the octopus guard. And I guess Islam constantly trying to bring him back to his back was enough work to keep them on the ground without any separation. And man, it's just, I was hoping for a banger. And after those fights, after those main card fights, I was like, all right, this is amazing. And then again, like, we get this. It is impressive that Islam was able to just keep JDM on the ground while no one else was able to. But at the same time, where was the intent to finish? You know, and I know people are going to be talking about GOAT conversations and all that. I don't think so. I mean, this isn't a GOAT performance, in my opinion. And also, hot take, but Islam's title reign is kind of overrated. An old Dustin Poirier that did not deserve a title shot. Renato Moicano, bro, that guy's a bum. He'll never make it into the top 10. The first Volk fight was legit. That's a good win. The Charles Oliveira fight is a good win. But the second Volk fight, come on, that's Volkanovski on a week's notice. Flying halfway across the world to fight with no training camp. Bro was drinking on the couch, literally just like doing nothing. And he came in to fight. Like, he was not prepared at all. And Islam was preparing for a 5-rounder with Charles Oliveira in a rematch. So if you look at his resume, he has 2, now 3 valid wins with JDM. Because JDM is like a very valid win. Because JDM, I believe, is one of the best fighters in the UFC. And I think still is. It's just that his game plan was off. And Islam had the right game plan. He came in with the game plan I expected. I expected Islam to avoid the striking at all costs and just go for takedowns and try to only grapple. And that's what he did. Like, in the striking, literally nothing happened. It was just leg kicks from Islam and one moment where Jack landed a combination when Islam went for a clinch. And that's it. Literally nothing else in the striking happened at all. Like, nothing. It was just Islam in half guard on top of Jack for 5 rounds, basically. And it sucked. It sucked. Like, I don't want to see this in a main event. In a main event, I want to see domination. I want to see someone going for a finish. I want to see finishes, you know? I want to see an Ilia Topuria knocking out Charles Oliveira in the first round, or Pantoja outclassing Kai Kara France for 3 rounds and then getting the choke and finishing the fight, right? Or a Charles Oliveira out-grappling Gamrot and submitting him in the second round. See, that is a statement performance. That is a GOAT-level performance. That is something saying, look, I completely dominated you. Lay and pray is just point fighting. it's like what Leon Edwards would do. Point fighting. Point fighting is boring. It's just stalling. And that is such an issue in the UFC, with some fighters just going for the easiest route, not really trying to finish, just doing enough to win. And I'm tired of seeing this pattern in the UFC where guys are just doing enough to win, not trying to finish, not trying to do damage. There was no damage whatsoever in this fight. Joe Rogan was glazing the calf kicks, bro. The calf kicks, they weren't doing much. JDM was just moving fine. It's just that JDM's not as good at defending takedowns in the open as he is against the fence. Against the fence, Islam got no takedowns, right? The one moment he came on top was because Jack went for a judo trip and then he tried to get on top with a wizard. If you try to get on top with a wizard, you'll end up on the bottom, right? And that's what happened. And every other time, Islam could not get a takedown against the fence. Whenever Jack managed to wall walk and get up on his feet, Islam wasn't able to take him back down. It was only in the open, and Islam only shot in the open as well. Something that he clearly saw is that Jack's takedown defense isn't as good in the open as it is against the fence. And it turned out that Islam's wrestling in the open and top pressure was good enough to stop Jack from getting up all the time. Again, very disappointing main event. I expected a more exciting fight. Jack should have done better, and Islam should have tried to do more damage. Try to do damage at least, What's this thing with these guys? These Dagestanis are so afraid of doing damage. Even Marab does more damage, and he has no finishing ability whatsoever. Islam literally finished his last 3 fights. Bro, where's the damage in this one? I understand Jack is a very dangerous striker, a very dangerous fighter, but try to do some damage. Try to make a statement. This fight doesn't tell me he's going to beat everyone in the welterweight division. All that it tells us is that he's big enough for the division, but not necessarily that he's going to dominate and that he's miles ahead skill-wise against the competition. Because if he was, he would have finished JDM. And it was just a stalemate in half guard the whole fight. And if you're on bottom, you're not going to win a fight. So that's on JDM. Go in for Islam though. He's the double champ. Islam is arguably the number 1 pound for pound in the world right now. I don't think so, because when Ilya won his second belt, he got a knockout in the first round, and he was coming off 2 knockout wins before that. 3 back-to-back knockout wins against former champions. That's how you stamp yourself as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So I think Islam is still number 2. And honestly, I wanted JDM to win so that we can get the Ilya-Islam fight, that super fight at lightweight. But it's never going to happen. Unless someone beats Islam. But again, Islam's 34. I don't think he's going to be around that much longer. I think Islam has 2 more fights in him. Maybe even 1. He might just defend the belt once and then retire. I see that happening as well because, again, he is 34. He's getting old. So it's interesting to see. As for what's next, man, it has to be Miles Morales. Miles Morales, freaking Spider-Man, absolutely smoked Sean Brady in the first round. Beat the best grappler in the division. Miles Morales just beat the number 2 ranked fighter in the division. Sean Brady was coming off a dominant win over Leon Edwards. He finished Edwards. That was a much better performance than Belal, who won a 3-2 decision. Brady smoked him. And Miles Morales made it look easy, Stole Practice's title shot from him. Practice KOs Leon Edwards in the second round, sleeps him, sends him to the Shadow Realm. And then Miles Morales was like, hold my beer. Destroys Sean Brady in the first round and earns himself a title shot. And honestly, I don't know how that fight plays out with Islam. Miles Morales is a big dude. He might be the biggest welterweight in the division. And to be honest, this fight was meant to show us the level of grappling that Miles Morales possesses. But we didn't get to see that. So I don't know if he beats Islam. In the striking, I think Islam is more technical, but Miles Morales is just such a physical specimen. I mean, he is literally Spider-Man. So I think the striking's pretty even, and it all depends on if Miles Morales can stop the takedowns or at least be able to get back up or have some danger on the ground for Islam. But we just don't know. I haven't seen enough of Miles Morales' grappling to know if he can compete with Islam. So that fight is truly interesting one. That's the next fight to make in the welterweight division. Make that in March, and I think that would be a fire fight. As for JDM, bro, fight Carlos Prates. Make that fight. JDM Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates just beat Leon Edwards. He just smoked him, knocked him out, put him to sleep. Shadow Realm. And the fighting nerds, they're back. They are truly back. And I say make that fight. JDM Carlos Prates. I think that's a good fight to make next. Man, and I just hope in the future we can have more exciting main events. This card was meant to be something special. It was something special. It was something special. A lot of things happened on this card. Bo Nickel got a knockout. That's crazy. Bo Nickel got a knockout. Head kick KO. Insane. There are 3 finishes. before the co-main event. Knockouts, all of them. And then we got a bore fest in the co-main event. And I thought, okay, but at least we're getting a generational main event, generational title fight. But no, bore fest, a lay and pray, boring decision. You know, again, it's the Dagestanis. They always give us the boring fights. I just want violence. Is that too much to ask for? Can these fighters give a man some violence, bro? Can the UFC give a dude some violence? Come on, bro. That's why I'm a Carlos Prates fan, man. That's why we need Brazilians as champions. These guys, they put on a show. Pantoja gets you finishes. Pereira gets you finishes. Carlos Prates gets you finishes. These Brazilians, they don't play, man. They don't play, bro. So, anyways, that's enough yapping from me. It was a great card overall. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the videos and would like to support the channel, you can do that by buying me a coffee with the link in the description. That's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.